Thank you for your help.
Yeah, let's try this again. Welcome to the first episode of the Ghost Official Sound Podcast. I'm your host, Ghost. I've lived a little and I've died a lot. Each week, I'm going to be sharing a new episode, a new topic that's personal to me and also provides a little insight for everyone else in general. Let's begin. The origin spark. Why did I start creating music? I started creating music after I had a serious spinal injury, the first of two. For multiple reasons, I was in a dark space mentally, physically, with absolutely no outlet. I couldn't move. I didn't have a whole amount of support. I did have the universe. And luckily, the universe guided me to another space where I found an outlet. And that outlet was music. Surviving all the physical difficulties with no painkillers and all sorts of setbacks and detriments mentally and physically. The chaos was real. The silence was real. And the weight of survival as heavy as it gets. The catalyst. Why music? Without being able to physically move about, the mental battles that I was fighting became 10 times more fierce. The negativity was a dark spiral. That's when the frequencies aligned. I was using an old iPhone 8 at the time, really low storage, riddled with technical glitches, but I noticed a useful app. It came to me out of the ether. I decided to click on it, and that app was GarageBand. It's a built-in DAW. As far as I'm aware, it's available on all iPhones, it's available on the Mac, and also iPads. In that dark space is where I discovered music as a personal outlet to take my mind off of the darkness and frustrations that I was suffering at the time. A space where I could vibe. The first strike, the feeling. What did it feel like to put together my first beat? It was incredible. I had a goal of trying to create one track of every genre as a technical exercise and a personal adventure to grow. Music was completely my therapy at the time, with no other mental outlets that could hold my attention aside from movies and animation. Music was my therapeutic outlet. The feeling of creating that first track was incredible. There's nothing quite like it. It's like creating a meal for the first time that you really enjoy. You're almost in disbelief that you created it. The joy is real. It's really real. And that same endorphin release is the same rush you get when you do something creative, whether it's photography, whether it's artwork, painting, drawing, whether it's lyrics, whether it's beats, whether it's theater or dance. That outlet, that rush, that feeling you get is almost indescribable. It's a beautiful space to be in. I'd never had any lessons or any background in music. Everything was a constant learning journey and a constant struggle. But the payoff was priceless. The reality check. Was it easy? As I just stated, without any technical background, any technical knowledge, and a really unique way of learning, the whole journey was riddled with frustrations. I found that I was particularly intuitive at creating beats and sounds, but without the technical skills or the equipment, such as cheap headphones that, again, at the time seemed fantastic, but had huge detriments to speakers externally to be able to balance sounds, all sorts of things that without a technical knowledge and an understanding meant the whole journey was ultimately more difficult. Were there times that I felt like giving up? Absolutely. Even though it was therapeutic, technicalities, the gremlins, the frustrations, they all found their way to the surface and they all gave me another reason to give up. But the irony of that is it also gave me a reason to not give up and to work harder, to try harder, to keep going back over and over again, thousands of times to try and get some sort of a breakthrough. First obstacles weren't actually making the tunes. It was the equipment and then the mastery of those tunes afterwards. Between the phone, with its limited storage capacity, and earlier glitches that would cause hundreds of hours of frustration in work flow, they all provided major obstacles. And those frustrations are the points that leave you wanting to throw equipment against walls, scream into a pillow, find a heavy bag somewhere and just let out all the rage. Unfortunately, I wasn't physically well enough at the time to do most of that. So the reality is I had to take it inwardly and build from there. And if you're on a creative journey and you're struggling with that feeling, don't give up. Your breakthrough is right around the corner. And that breakthrough is just one of many. The only times the breakthrough stop are when you give up. Take that from a man who's died a lot. I mean, a lot. If you can focus those frustrations, you can give yourself a whole new reason to not quit. Even though every signal's flagging you to wave the white one around, you don't have to do that, because all of those reasons that flag up and make you want to surrender are the same reasons you can lean into to develop, grow, and refuse to never quit. Don't do it. What was my favorite part of the journey? I'm still on the journey, fortunately. My favorite part has been the entire thing on a wide angle lens at the space I'm in now and the time that's passed, the whole journey. There couldn't have been the ups without the downs, and there couldn't have been the downs without the ups. And all of those are what helped form this way of thinking, this way of being. I am ultimately grateful for that. So singling out my favorite part is almost impossible, because my favorite part was the journey. The feeling of being creative and creating something that you vibe with is indescribable. It's beautiful. Like when you create a meal and you serve it to people and you see their faces light up because you've created something absolutely outstanding for them. It's the same feeling you get when you do it for yourself, that technical relief, the release of pure happiness and joy that you've done something special. Just because not everyone vibes with it at that time, it just might mean they're not that particularly right audience. Not everyone eats fish. Not everyone likes cheeseburgers. Not everyone wants a quiche. But the joy you get from creating that thing, that endeavor, and bring it to light is, again, indescribable and well worth the adventure. Music, movies, animation, these were things that I could just go and take my mind away from those spaces where I wasn't feeling great. Those were the only pieces that really broke up some of the darkness and gave me something really powerful to focus on. And for the lack of technicalities that I may have had, my passion was 10-10, 20-10. That's how I developed a little sanctuary with the music, with the arts, with creativity in general, but specifically music. And having that space where I could just go and shut the world off and give myself a little bit of quiet clarity internally and externally, that was priceless. Call to action. Why is finding a passion mandatory for your survival? Quite simply, when the world gets very noisy internally and externally, when there's a lot of things that aren't working for you, they're working against you, having an outlet where you can go and be creative, whether that's sketching, painting, cooking, dance, photography, acting, music, whatever that creative outlet is, having that could be the difference between you making it through another day, week, month, year, or that being your final frustration, the final straw that broke the ghost back, not again. So from me to you, I highly recommend finding some sort of a creative outlet. No one starts off as a Picasso in the beginning. It all requires work. There's very rarely a payoff without some work involved. If you give yourself the space to create, develop, and evolve, you may just be handing yourself the keys to your own survival and give the world something to admire. And we all love admiring something special, right? Top ghost tip. There's a lot going on in the world. There's always a lot going on in the world. So while you've got some personal space and some time to create, maybe lean into your creativity. You don't know what's going to bloom, develop, and blossom. It may be the key to your survival. It might also be the key to someone else's survival. If I said it was just my artwork that kept me going, I'd be lying. It wasn't just my creative outlets. It was the beautiful creative outlets of every soul that I got to encounter who was a creative. And when leaning into myself was almost impossible, even creatively, I could go and lean with them and we could just be in that state together. And that was another huge anchor for survival. When it comes to being creative, just remember this. The worst case scenario, you create something you vibe with. However, when it comes to being creative, the best thing you can do is make something the whole world vibes with. And that is priceless. That was the first episode of the podcast. This was the very first podcast I've ever shot. The very first time I've ever done this. This was yet another creative, technical endeavor that was fraught with all sorts of technical difficulties. I recorded this episode twice previously. Both had their own separate glitches and errors. That meant I had to redo this entire thing. So don't let the frustrations get to you. Don't let them stop you from being creative. You might have a million reasons to not. You only need one to do it. Stay in tune for more episodes of the podcast. If this resonated with you, follow, share, subscribe, like. Very few things are free in life. Showing some support, that is. And when you show support, you make all the frustrations that much more bearable. And you're also giving someone else the chance at a much better life for themselves. Don't deny that for yourself. Don't deny that for anyone else. Take care. Stay safe. Stay spooky. We did it, babe.